Hey guys, welcome to the blog. This week I really want to talk about how to have the real talk conversation um, for yourself, for your business. Okay? So this is really key because a lot of times we have real talk with other people in our lives and we're a little bit more forthcoming and truthful even though it's uncomfortable. We're willing to kind of take a chance and risk it because we care about that person and we want to see them do well. And sometimes we just feel like, hey, I'm not sure if they've really considered this, and I feel like it's really important, right? So this is super key for your business, and I'm going to tell you why. But basically, we always have to have these legit check-ins where we say oh shit, yeah, this is really happening. Because the reality is we're really programmed to ignore the uncomfortable, right? Like we talk about this all the time with fear, right? That our bodies are kind of programmed to keep us safe and keep us in our comfort zone. And that's why our anxiety kind of exists to fight or flight, get us back to where we're safe and get us back to where we're comfortable. So when we do take kind of a big risk, our anxiety and our fear is kind of there to be like, hey, no, you don't want to do that. You don't know what's going to happen. Come back here where it's safe. Don't expand. Right. So we're always kind of up against that in our businesses and in our personal lives, right? This expands far beyond just our business. But the reality is, we need to be very careful about whether our anxiety, our fears are running our lives or not, right? How we may be self-sabotaging our own success in our business. So I'll share a little bit about why this kind of came up for me this week, but in my own personal life, we had to, gosh, I'm not even sure how to describe this, but basically we had, my grandparents lost their dog. He passed away this weekend. They really want to get another dog, right away. They were like, oh, we need to go adopt. And the rest of us were kind of like, you already have a dog, you have 2 cats, you guys are getting older. Maybe another dog isn't really appropriate right now. But nobody's actually really saying that out loud to them because that kind of real talk is uncomfortable, right? And so I realized that this is just a great way to kind of segue into why having real conversation is so important, not only in our relationships, but in our business and really for ourselves, because we are so keen to pick up on it with other people. Oh, this underlying thing is happening and, maybe they're not conscious of it, but it's way harder to do that for ourselves. But so important, right? Because when we really know where we are standing emotionally, that's when we can impact real change in our business. Because we all have times when we're feeling irritable, we're feeling down. The things in our personal life, for instance, with my grandparents losing their dog, they impact our business and our energy and our life. So we have to be really careful. Where is our energy? Where's our anxiety trying to lead us? So that we can take meaningful action and stay consistent in our business. So how do we have real talk, right? Everyone kind of avoids it. Nobody really wants to dive in there and go deep. But it's so important to do this, right? Because this is how we establish a deeper connection to ourselves. It's how we establish deeper connection to the people in our lives. It's how we establish deeper connection with our clients, right? Which is so key. If we just skirt around the issues of what they're struggling with or what they need, whether it's with our product or our service, right? We're not doing them any favors. We're not doing ourselves any favors by kind of just going amongst our day and doing our business without really understanding where our emotions are taking us. And we're not doing our friends and family any favors by not being able to bring up concerns we have and addressing them, right? Because when it comes from a place of love, it is a very valuable thing. So how do we have real talk with ourselves? How do we check in, right? So for me, meditation is a great way to do this, right? Because the one thing we don't do enough of is sitting by ourselves, checking in, just giving ourselves some peace and quiet, right? To really reflect, to really check in. Most of the time, we're just kind of rushing around, right? We're doing stuff for our business. Whether you're still in your 9 to 5 or not, we always have a crazy long to-do list, right? And so if we're just rushing around checking off the boxes and not really paying attention to where our energy is, it can be really easy to get thrown off, right? All of a sudden we're like, I am not feeling super into this. We start like putting certain tasks to the side and we're not really present or conscious of why that is, right? And all of a sudden now we're like, dang, I haven't been really consistent in my business. I don't really know what's going on for me right now. We just start to see the results of it, right? Like we're not getting as many clients, or we're not selling as many products, or we're not feeling really excited about what we're doing anymore. So it's so important to check in, right? So the real talk can start with a little meditation session. It can be a journaling prompt where you just say like, hey, what's really coming up for me right now? Like, where am I at in my headspace? What do I really need right now? Right? And just putting it out there and writing down like free flow, whatever comes out, right? Like don't edit, just let it all come out and then go back and read it, because a lot of times it's really interesting what starts to flow when we tap into that piece and just kind of like let it out and see what's going on. So whenever I talk to my clients about anxiety in their relationships, because to me, anxiety in our business, anxiety in general, it impacts everything, right? So especially when I talk to people about having these kinds of real talk conversations with their clients, I always say like, remember the compliment sandwich, right? And it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of not, right? Because when we're going to go deep and say something that's really real, we also need to reconnect and reestablish the relationship side of things. So what I say is, come into it with a loving presence. So we'll talk about it as how you would do this with a client, and then we'll talk about how we do it for ourselves. So with a client, right, we're going to start by saying like, I'm hearing what you're saying, so we connect, right, with, it can be through empathy or it can be through reflection, right? So we kind of establish that connection, like I'm here for you. Then we're going to give them the real talk, right? Whatever it is, like, but I have this feeling, it's coming up for me somewhere that like something's not quite right. Something's not fitting, right? We're going to address whatever that is. So make the statement like in a neutral way, right? It's just putting it out there and seeing like, this is what I'm feeling like. Do you feel that way too? Or are you noticing those things? And then come back to reconnecting, right? And saying like, we all go through this. Like, it's not a big deal. It's just really important that we do get to what's important, because to me, like, that's my goal as a coach for you, is to make sure that you're really addressing the stuff that's a little bit hard sometimes and making sure we're not skirting around some of the issues. I want to have like a relationship with you where we really trust each other, that we're going to say how it is, right? We're not going to pretend. So why is it so important to kind of talk about? Because as coaches, as whether you're just selling products, whatever it is, like you're having these kinds of conversations with your clients. So the reason I like to set that as kind of our foundation is because I want you to take that same idea for a conversation for your real talk and do it for yourself, right? Because a lot of times when we get really real with ourselves and we say like, hey, you're not really fully committed to your business right now. Like you're not staying consistent. It can get negative, right? And we're so hard on ourselves already, right? We're already like, oh, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not hitting my goals on time. I just feel like I'm not good enough, right? It's really easy for us to get into the negative when it is about ourselves, because once we start being honest, it's easy to pick apart our flaws. So when you have this real talk conversation with yourself, remember, be empathetic to you. Reestablish that connection to yourself as well. That's just as important as the real part, because if you're just always thinking like, gosh, like really negative thoughts and being really hard on yourself, just like if your client would react the same way, right? Like, oh, I don't feel like she's got my back. I don't think this is someone I want to work with, right? We want to work with ourselves, right? I want you to think about yourself as a client, as a family member, as someone you love, right? Because we're important too. So we need to think about this as also like doing the compliment sandwich. So whatever reel we're going to get into. So for me, say like this week I've been doing a little bit of traveling and seeing friends and family. I have not been consistent in my business while I've been away from my desk. I brought my work with me, but I didn't do as much as I wanted to. So my real talk would be like, listen, You set some pretty serious goals for yourself for the next 2 months. But the reality is, like, it doesn't feel like you're putting the effort in, the hours in that's going to take to hit those goals, right? So that's like a neutral statement. There's nothing super aggressive about that. But then I'm also going to sit there and have some empathy for myself and have some love and be like, I know you want this. Like, you're going to get there. So let's get things back on track. Like, what do I need to change, right? What little thing can I change to get myself back to where I want to be in my business, right? So I'm not going to let the negativity bring me down. The real talk is really about enacting change, right? That's the ultimate goal. So if like negative talk isn't going to get you there, then don't go there, right? Like whatever it's going to take for you to just check in and know what's happening, right? Is my anxiety sabotaging me? Am I feeling this sense of fear or dread in some aspect of my business, right? Just check in and then just say like, what's going on with that? Journal it out, meditate it out, give yourself some time to reflect, and then just make a few small changes, right? We're not here to like hassle ourselves or, be like the negative boss that like nobody wants. And that's the reason most of us, have the desire to leave our 9-to-5s, because we don't want someone like nitpicking us all the time and never feeling like we're enough, right? So don't go there for yourself. Keep it positive. Keep it the focus on what you want to be happening, and then just make a couple of shifts to help that start happening, right? Like nothing crazy. For me with my business this week, it was just going through the rest of the week and saying like, okay, where are the time blocks that I'm actually going to physically like block off in my calendar to do work, right? Because what I found with my own business was that I would take some time off. I would enjoy the flexibility of working for myself. And then I would be like, okay, except for I didn't get enough done. Like I'm not spending the time I need to in order to get the results I want, right? And so it's really just about saying like, okay, this isn't quite working. I can't be like this loosey-goosey with my schedule, but I'm not going to like sit there and criticize myself for having fun and like making a mistake. Like it's not a big deal. Really, if anything, it's not even a mistake, right? It's just part of my journey. Like, okay, now I've learned I still need somewhat of a schedule to stay consistent in my business and to see the growth I want, right? So real talk is crazy helpful. It's gonna be the thing that really takes you to the next level. Like we talk about how fear is a great leader or a great teacher, but not a great leader, right? We don't listen to what fear says, but we do kind of like follow where the fear is, right? So knowing where these things are in our life that are kind of sabotaging us, whether it's our anxiety, whether it's mindset, whatever it is, like maybe it's something in your personal life that is impacting your ability to stay in your business and feel really confident about what you're doing, right? Whatever it is, it's just knowing what's happening, right? That having the conscious knowledge of what that process that's happening in your business and in your life is going to allow you to just like make it a little adjustment, right? It's nothing crazy. Like I always hear people say like, if you have someone negative in your life who's bringing you down, like you need to cut them out. Like I'm just like, no. Like sometimes that person is someone who we're related to that we don't really want to cut out. Like they may be really negative, but we're like, this person's also a part of the family. I want to be able to go to family events and have a good time and not be like, I can't go because so-and-so is there and they're going to drag me down. Like to me, it's just being conscious of it and me knowing, okay, when I see this person, I just need to make sure that I've done some extra self-care and that I'm a little bit more conscious of my energy, right? I'm not just going to react to what I'm feeling based on this person. Like I'm going to go in with this positive energy and influence and spread that around. Come from a place of love, right? So to me, it's not about having to take drastic change, right? It's just knowing where we are in the whole process of things for our business, for our relationships, so that we can just take more conscious action to getting where we want to go. So I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, always drop me a comment. I'm happy to answer questions and help you guys on your journey. So let me know what you need, and I'll talk to you guys soon.